Hello and welcome to our next little video. So in this video, we're going to explore Lynx coding, and I've already logged in, so I'm assuming that you've already logged into the website, and we're going to go ahead and create a very what I think is a fun project on creating some growing and or shrinking shapes, some regular polygons. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new project. So you should be able to see that right here. So I'm going to create a new project. Obviously, it's always nice to name the project right away. So we can call this growing shapes or something like that. So again, just to give you a little review of the platform and what it looks like. So on the right hand side, or the left hand side, sorry, this little strip is your sort of menu. The one most important thing right here is up at the top. You can see this little red dot. This is to help you save it. Because it doesn't automatically save, you want to make sure you click that every couple minutes. Right here we have our procedures pane, and so this is where we're going to be writing our procedures that we've sort of figured out based on our sandbox or our command center down here, and we've decided, okay, this is what we want to keep, and we're going to put it into our procedures and use that for later. And then the last is where our turtle hangs out here in the I can't remember the name of this. Stage. I'm going to call it the stage. But yeah, so our first little thing here that we're going to explore with is just creating a very simple little triangle. And so we can have it, you know, move forward. So we can either use FD or forward. So let's just say forward 30, and we see how we move forward 30. Then we can turn right, either RT or the words right. And in this particular case, we know that the internal angles of a triangle are 60, but the external angle is what we actually want in our case of a triangle is 120 degrees. And so you'll see that I moved right 120, and then I can just do this again, sort of repeating this 3 times. Now, I don't see anything here, so I want to maybe draw or leave a trail. And so I have this ability to use the pen. And so I can just click on pen down, and so it leaves a trace of what my my turtle will do. And so here I'm just going to make my turtle draw a little bit bigger. So forward 60, right 120, forward 60, right 120, forward 60, right 120. So there we have a nice circle that or a nice triangle that we've created. And so now what we can do is we can take this and turn it into something that we don't have to click over and over again for us to happen, for it to happen. So we can actually use something like a repeat. And so we use our repeat, and then we tell it the number of times that we want to repeat. So if a triangle is repeat 3 times, and then we use these open and closed square brackets to help us with our commands that we're going to put in here. So I'm going to make this a bigger triangle. So 100, right, 120. Now, I don't want to draw over, well, I can draw over this one because I've made it a different size. So let's run that and see what happens. So there we are. Now we can see that this went really, really fast. And so it's sometimes nice to sort of have a little bit of to slow it down a little bit. And so we're going to go ahead and add a weight in here. So this weight is measured in tenths of a second, and so 2 will just be 2/10 of a second. So if I wanted a full second, I would do 1. So if I run this again, you'll see that it's a little bit slower. So if I run this at 120, and then 130, 140, 150. And so you can see, well, number one, that we're drawing on the same area, and we're sort of creating this neat little pattern. And so that's our goal for today, is to create this neat little pattern that we've experienced in our last 4 triangles. So for right now, let's go ahead and take what we have here and create a procedure out of it. And so we start off our procedures with 2. And the name of our procedure here, we're going to call it triangle, and we can call it a simple triangle or just a regular triangle. In this case, I'm going to call it a triangle simple. And then we're going to press return, and just to keep it nice and neat, I'm going to just tab over here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this whole piece and put it right here. And then to end off of a procedure, you type 2 in there. And so that helps us to make, and I'm just going to, oh yeah, I've already got huge font. And so that makes, I'm just going to make my font bigger so you can see that. And so we'll see that we've got our triangle simple, repeat 3 times. And so I can go ahead and I can test this out. Now, I want to sort of erase some of the stuff I have here. So I can use the command CG, or clear graphics. And then I'm just going to tidy up my command center and erase some of these things. So now I can write in triangle simple, and it will do this procedure. Great. So that's the sort of first challenge that we had here that we wanted to see if we can go ahead and do that. So that looks great to me. And so our next thing that we wanted to do is we want to start exploring with changing the size of our triangle. And so right now we have it sort of hard-coded as a 150. And so what I want to do is I want to make it so that I can tell the triangle what size I want it to be. And so I'm going to make another procedure using pretty well the exact same thing, but in this case, I'm going to send it a variable or a parameter. And this parameter is a number that we're going to use in here, and we're going to tell it what size we want it to be. Now, we're not going to use triangle simple because we have triangle simple up here, and so we're going to use maybe triangle size. And so that will help us to tell the difference between these 2 different procedures that we've created. Now, before I run this, I want to make sure that I save it. Because again, we want to make sure that we save it every time that we're coming through here. So I've got this triangle size, and I'm sending in the size of it. And so what I need to do now is I need a way of like storing that size and then using that in my size of my triangle. So again, if we remind ourselves how we use the size, well, it's here, this 150. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set start size to be that variable size, and then we're going to use start size right here. Okay, so we're taking this variable and then we're creating another way of storing it, and you'll see in a second why I'm doing that, or some of the details. But before we can go ahead and run this, now we can still run our triangle simple. It still does that. But if we run our triangle size and we tell it 100, we're going to get an error. And so the reason we're going to get an error is because we need a way of storing this value. And so we're going to go up here to this plus, and we're going to add a text box. And this text box here, we're just going to put up here. So I'm just dragging on where it says text 1. And then I'm going to right click on here. And I'm going to call it start size. So I'm going to call it the same as the name of the variable. So the variable that we have is start size. Set is a command within Lynx to set certain variables or background or color and those sort of things. And so here in our case, we're going to set the variable size start size. So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. And then now if I go ahead and I can just take this line here and I'm just going to select it and delete it. Let's play 100. And so you can see here that now this 100 is in there and it drew this triangle. Great. So if I now do this to be 120 and I run it, you'll see how it changes. Great. And so now I'm starting to build up my project here. Now, if I keep going, I'm going to create that pattern again. But now I want to make my pattern a little bit simpler, right? Or make it a little bit easier for myself when I go ahead and create this code. So what we're going to do again is we're going to make a new procedure. And coders like to reuse or refer back to their code. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of take this triangle size that I've already used here, and I'm just going to copy and paste it and build it out some more. And so here I'm just going to call this one triangle. And so now I've got the size as one of my parameters, and I'm also going to add in the number of times that I want to create it, and the small size that I'm going to change, right? So along here, I've run this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and I've changed it, about 20. I think it was 20 every time. 100, 120, 140, 160. And that other one here is the 150 that I had run, the triangle simple that I ran a long time ago. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the graphics so I can start to explore this again. And so now there's a few things that I need to do in here. We've already got this as our simple triangle or our size-based triangle, but we also need to add in here, we need to repeat the triangle. So we're going to need to have another repeat in here. So we're going to say repeat, and we're actually going to repeat it the number of times. So I'm going to go ahead and type in times. So again, I've got a square bracket to start it off. And just so I don't forget, I'm going to have a square bracket down here to end. So the nice thing about these brackets is they'll sort of select each other or show you where they come in pairs. And so that's one thing that I need to do. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to change that size. So our start size is going to be whatever we give as our initial parameter, and then we want to change it every time by a certain amount called change. So again, I'm going to use my set start size. So I'm going to take my start size, and I'm going to add change to it. Change, not changer. All right, so now let's go in and let's run this again. So I'm going to try triangle, and we're going to start off, let's say, at 100. We're going to run this for space. We have to remember our spaces. We're going to run it 4 times, and we're going to change 20 each time. So when I run that, you'll see now that I have 4 triangles, and they're progressively getting bigger. And the difference between them is 20. Now the other thing which is pretty cool is I can also run this with a negative in here. So I'm going to run this starting at 100 4 times, and I'm going to subtract 20 each time. So if you wanted to make growing shapes or shrinking shapes, you have that opportunity to do that. So the next thing I wanted to do now is having this on a white background with a blue not even blue. My arrow's blue, but my turtle is black. So we can go ahead and create some procedures, and we can change the color associated to what we have here. And so if I use the set C or set color, they're both the same. And there's a few set colors already within Lynx, and I'll let you explore those on your own. You can test them out, see if the different ones are there, or there are documentation on those colors. So I can go ahead and say set color red, and I could run this one again. Now I've got a red series. And so if I wanted to go to blue and then change this one, maybe put this one at 120 because I know that big one is 100. Run this again. So now you can see I've got this neat little pattern going. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a few procedures in here to help me with that. So to red, then I'm just going to paste that in red, and then I'm going to end it. I'm going to do another procedure. Maybe let's say yellow. And let's just say set C, yellow, end. I'm just going to tab these over, keep it nice and clean. And now one of the neat things about this is I've created these procedures, and I don't need to always put things in my control center down here. I can actually incorporate some buttons that can help me to change colors, to do some other things. And so again, I'm going to go up to my plus, but just before that, I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to go to my plus, and you can see there's a button option here. So if I click on button, right now this is a button that does nothing. But if I right click on it, I can change my label. So this one is going to be a big button that says red. And on click, it will run the procedure red. And I'm going to do this again for my button blue. Right click again. So I'm going to say blue. On click. Oh no, it wasn't blue, it was yellow. So yellow. And so now if I click red and clear these graphics and then run that, I've got now a red one. If I clear these graphics, click on yellow, then run it, you'll see the yellow. Well, hopefully you'll see the yellow. But yeah, so I would invite you to explore, and you can have as many colors if you want here. One cool thing that you can also have, I'm going to add one more here. I'm going to call it to rand color. And this is actually going to be set C random. So this will actually be a random, and we got to tell it what color or what range that we're dealing with. And so we're going to put 140. And the reason we're putting 140 is because there's 140 different colors. So I'm going to, again, add this button in here, and we're going to put it right there. We're going to say random color, and we're going to go get that procedure. There we are. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make this button just a little bit bigger. So now when I click on it, I have that color. And if I click it again, you'll see that I have another different color. So every time I run this, I'm going to get a different color in there. So right now, you probably can't even see the result. I am having a very difficult time seeing the result in here. But it did change to a very light blue. But here's red back at it. And so I can go ahead and I can change any of these parameters that I wanted to. If I want to make it a very small type of change. So get it to be very fun. And also if I wanted to change this weight, I can go ahead and do that. And maybe I can run this 15 times. Let's see what happens. So it runs it a lot faster, and then you can start to see there are some cool little patterns that are coming up. So very fun to explore. So a couple little things. You've seen that I've gone ahead and had to clear graphics every time. It would be nice to have a button up here that's called clear graphics. So let's go ahead and do that. So we can call that maybe a reset. And all we need to do is just have a CG or clear graphics, and that's it. So again, I'm going to go up to the plus, the button. Maybe I'll put that over here as our reset option. And now if I run it, let's put a random color, run this one. The other thing that you'll notice is this start size is now keeping track, or it always has been keeping track of our size of our triangle that we've been exploring. And if I click on reset, there we are, it's reset. So the other little thing now is we always sort of start facing up. But what if we wanted to explore and change those directions and that sort of thing? So again, we can use the fact that we know how to turn using right. And so I can create another procedure called to right, and I'm just going to use right 15. 15 is a good number to use, but if you wanted to use something different, you can go ahead and use that one. It's just nice because 15 and 60 are multiples of each other, and so you'll see what I mean when we start to explore. So we're going to call this one right if we may name it correctly. If we can type, and again right 15. So now if we go ahead and do a random color, we run this one. And then if I do right a few times, and then I do another random color, and then I run it, you'll see that it lines up very nicely here. And so I can do it a little bit, or I can do it a lot. Right now I can only turn right, but I would challenge you to turn left. Another challenge is to add in some more colors into here. And then the last challenge that I put to you is right now we're only doing triangles. How could you recreate this to do different shapes? Squares, hexagons, pentagons, octagons, those sort of things. Are you able to do those sort of things? So, and the last thing that I wanted to show you right now, we've got set color of the of our turtle. If we wanted to change the color of our background, the way that we can do that is again using our set, but we're going to use set BG, and here we can say we can pick any of those colors that are in there. So I can say sky. So sky is a very nice like light blue. It's great for exploring some of those other colors. So with that, I'm going to end it off, and I'm excited to see some of the creations that you come up with. Yes, so again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to your support. And with that, happy coding. Bye for now.